When you're searching for a home, it seems there are hundreds of questions that you need the answers to, but there's one question you must ask yourself first.
And that's really, do you want to become a homeowner or do you want to continue renting? And if you're not sure, our real estate expert John Adamson's here to help us take a quick test. And for me, I am renting. I'm new to the area, so I was a little afraid to buy right off the bat.
Well, I think there's a benefit to getting to know the area, but really as we approach the issue of home ownership, there are four basic questions that you've got to ask. You've got them right in front of you.
All right, so I guess the first one is that kind of how long are you going to be in this area?
Exactly, because if you're not going to be in the area for more than 3 or 4 years, it probably doesn't make sense to jump in and rent right now. And that's because real estate tends to have high transaction costs. It's a slow, steady performer, but whenever you get ready to buy or sell, you have a lot of incidental expenses associated with it. So it might take 2 or 3 years to make that up before you're profitable again. So if you're planning on leaving within a year or two, I don't believe I'd jump in and buy right now.
And John, I'm sure another big question is, do you have a steady income? Of course, you got to be able to pay those mortgages every month.
That's the number one thing that lenders are looking for. They do take the house as collateral, but more importantly, who's going to make this mortgage payment and how are they going to make it? Have they demonstrated that they have a steady income that's going to allow them to afford this payment? Of course, they have lots of formulas that they use and so forth, but it's that steady income that comes in month after month. They really love a paycheck job because that way they can prove it. But if you're self-employed, you still, as long as it's steady, you're on the right track.
Something else they seem to be a little concerned about is your credit history. So if you have some dings perhaps on your credit, can you still buy a home?
Buck, that's interesting. Over the last few years, underwriters have relaxed their credit requirements substantially. Just this summer, FHA, which is probably the most forgiving of the government-sponsored enterprises, lowered its minimum credit score for those seeking their highest level of financing, which is 97.5%, it dropped down from 640 down to 580, I believe, or 560, right in that range. And that was a surprise to a lot of people. But I think it signals that the lenders understand that during this recession, a lot of people did get some dings on their credit and are coming back now into the housing marketplace. These are good folks. A lot of them suffered things that really weren't of their own making. They lost a job or they had a health challenge, sometimes both, and they may have lost their home. Those people are now coming back in the marketplace, and the credit is not as important right now as the steady job.
But is there a magic number that we should be aiming for if we're trying to get our credit right to purchase a home?
Well, I'd like to see a minimum of that 560 or 580 that really would qualify. FHA is the most flexible. And technically, if you'll put 10% down, you can get an FHA loan, Constance, with a 500 credit score. Okay. But for most people who are buying, particularly their first home, the amount of cash that you have is a real key factor, and that's why that FHA is so attractive. We should be looking for that 580 number.
Money talks when it comes to purchasing.
You're not kidding. Sure. And home ownership's not for everybody.
No, it's not. You know, when we rent, there's a lot of flexibility involved. You've got somebody else mowing the lawn, somebody else cleaning out the gutters.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
There certainly are some benefits, but I think for an awful lot of Americans, buying that home is a part of the American dream, and it is also one of the things that moves them closer to financial independence. So there's a wealth factor there, a wealth creation factor there as well.
Good advice as always, John. Looking very presidential today, by the way. John Adams. If you have any questions about renting versus owning or anything related to real estate, John will be hosting a live chat for the next hour.
Yeah, the chat will start in just a few minutes. You can log on to our Fox 5 Atlanta Facebook page. The time now is 8:46. Good Day Atlanta returns with your forecast after this.